What's also incredible is that the theatre of this whole trial, I guess, was brought to life by Sky UK and GB News this week. They hired actors to play Prince Harry to reenact these court proceedings, which was great. As a viewer, you want to be able to see it. But here's one of the clips. We'll show it to you now.
I believe that, again, as a child, every single one of these articles played an important role, a destructive role in my growing up.
Esther, I don't even know where to start with this. I thought they did a reasonably good job, but what do you make of these reenactments?
I mean, people online have been saying it's not Prince Harry, but Prince Barry, because of the nature of the reenactment. I think the theatre is the right way to describe it. And I mean, it seemed fairly accurate in the way that Prince Harry was trying to pull at the heartstrings or tug at the heartstrings of the judge in this particular case. But unfortunately, that's not how a courtroom works. A courtroom works as, based on facts and not your feelings. And unfortunately, linking these newspaper articles that he had a problem with to the kind of detrimental effect it had on him and his childhood and growing up and his relationship with Chelsea, that doesn't really hold up in court. You really have to kind of prove what you're saying, which is why I'm surprised this case has even gotten this far. Bear in mind, he has other cases against other newspapers as well that are pending. So he really thinks he's sort of a one-man band trying to bring down what he thinks is really unacceptable behaviour by many newspaper outlets here in the UK. And it'll be interesting to see whether he'll succeed in that. But that reenactment was certainly very accurate.
It certainly was, and I wonder where those actors will head to now. Will they forever be portrayed as Prince Harry? We will find out. Now, the interesting part about this, Esther, I guess, how do you think that the royal family would feel with Harry back in London once again, complaining again? It's been quite a big week for the working royals. They've attended a number of charity events, but the spotlight again is on Harry.
Yes, particularly because Harry spent twice as much time, attending this court case as he did his own father's coronation. So that also has, grab the headlines. But I think the royal family are kind of used to this by now. The last few years have just been one Sussex story after the other. The reality is there will be no shortage of royal engagements by the active working members of the royal family. And they know that this is just par for the course. They're not going to stop what they're doing just because, Harry is making the headlines. That's what duty is. You have to just get on with it regardless of what happens. So I think the royal family are okay with it. Obviously, it's not very nice to have, the fifth in line to the throne testifying in court. I mean, he's the first royal to do this in over 120 odd years. But it's now par for the course with the Sussexes, really. And I don't think they're particularly surprised by it. I think they're just getting on with the job, which as they should.
You mentioned he spent more time at this court case in London than what he did at his own father's coronation. He didn't even meet up with his father or brother during this trip to London, even though there are reports that he actually stayed at Frogmore Cottage. Do you think that there's really any chance ever of a reunion here?
Well, at the moment, it doesn't look very likely. We have to bear in mind that Prince Harry often cites his security concerns as a reason for him to make these quick trips in and out of the UK. Remember that he's still in a legal dispute with the Home Office with regards to access to certain level of security. And that's something that I don't see being resolved in the near future. So that's something that he has said is something that's impeding him from spending more time in the UK. But there's also a really high possibility that he's just not welcome. I suspect the relationship between his father and his brother are still not the best. His wife and his children have certainly not made an appearance in the UK as well, so that could also buttress the security issues he keeps citing, as well as the fact that they just don't seem very welcome given the nature of the tension in the family that they've described in their Netflix documentary and in their book and in the Oprah interview. So it's not very surprising. I do think it's unfortunate, and at the end of the day, I've said this many times, the biggest losers in all of this is Prince Harry and Meghan's children, because they have basically no family other than Meghan Markle's mother, and they've been cut off from an entire half of their own heritage, even though they've somehow managed to retain their titles. And, you know, the growing up, this will have an impact on them. And I think when we talk about the royal family and we sensationalize all the things that is going on within the royal family, we have to remember that at the end of the day, there's still a family and there's still young kids at the heart of this who are going to lose out on getting to know their cousins and their uncles and aunts and grandfather because of this ongoing dispute.
Well, that's it, and family's so important, and those kids probably, will never know their grandfather or their uncle. It's also been reported that Harry and Meghan won't even get an invite to the King's birthday parade, which is quite extraordinary. What do you think about this move by the palace?
I think it's a similar strategy that they're, using with regards to Prince Andrew, actually. If they don't need to be in the public spotlight, let's not put them there. I think they're actually being very strategic about this. There's no reason for them to be invited. They're not working members of the royal family. The public opinion of the couple is very low, as is the same with Prince Andrew. And I think the more that the less that the royal family publicly engages with them, the better. I don't know the extent to which it's due to personal reasons and personal sort of disputes. I think it's more about the brand and just making sure that people understand that the royal family are active working royals, not, renegade royals that are selling themselves to whatever media house is willing to pay them, or disgraced princes like Prince Andrew.
Well, speaking of Prince Andrew, he will reportedly be banned from the Order of the Garter Day procession at Windsor Castle for the second year in a row. Is this fair? What do you think?
I think it is fair. I've often made the point that I think he should go and retire in a small village somewhere in Goa in India and just volunteer. I don't think anyone wants to hear from Prince Andrew. I think the interview that he did justifying his friendship with, convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein just showed such a lack of judgment and a huge sense of entitlement that he really has no place in public life. I do think that the king should really consider severing, all ties and just making it very clear that he will never have a place in the royal family, because it is still a very, very bad look on the royal family to have him anywhere near the public. And I think it's the same with the Sussexes. I think there's some people that just, they've lost the privilege of representing Britain as members of the royal family, and that should stay as that. There's no reason for him to be anywhere and to be seen by the public. I think he should just vanish.
Do you think that Andrew's public image will ever be fixed, or is he always going to be known or seen as a problem?
It will never be. He will never be rehabilitated into public life, I think. And, it's not because the public is being mean. He did this to himself. He chose to remain friends with a convicted paedophile, and then he chose to justify that in an interview broadcast to the nation. His lack of judgment, his sense of entitlement, and his lack of understanding of the importance of the royal family as an institution and the role that it plays in British public life just shows that he really has no place within that institution. And I think that, that he did this to himself, and he should accept the consequences.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Gee, what a week it's been, Esther Krakue. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to speak with you.
Thank you.